This is Chris, the Idaho Painter here on Paint Life TV. Today I'm in a commercial building, going to be rolling a lot of walls. I'm going to be using a Titan interfed roller. This thing is simply amazing. This is how you make money rolling walls. I'm also going to be using the Titan 3000 Elite. I've used it before, but I've never used it on using it with an interfed roller. So we're going to put it to the test with an interfed roller today. I'm also going to be testing out Green Sheen Paint. This is recycled paint. We're keeping paint from the landfills. So we're going to be putting that to the test, see how well it performs rolling walls. So if you want to see how the Titan 3000 Elite works, how the Titan interfed roller works, and what we think about recycled paint, keeping it from the landfills, stay tuned for this video. All right, I'm getting my Titan 3000 Elite set up, and one thing I did in the interfed roller, you run this thing at really low pressures, somewhere below 1,000 psi. The Elite doesn't come with a pressure gauge, so I just hooked up a Titan HEA gauge on there because I like to know my pressures at the pump. I got it set up and it's functioning really well, right around 800 psi at the pump. Now that's about at the head here, our roller head, it's about 400 to 500 psi at the roller head with 150-foot hose. Our Green Sheen paint, we're going to be using this paint. It's an interior, exterior paint, recycled paint, where they just box a bunch of different paints together and they create this product. One thing that's really cool about Green Sheen products is everything is recycled. The can is recycled, the metal is recycled, the paper is recycled. This is all stuff that would have went to the landfill, and now here it is in the paint I'm using today. So we're gonna put it to the test. I don't know anything about it. I've never used it before, so we're gonna start using it. We're gonna see how it covers. Does it splatter a lot? What the odor's like, because it is a bunch of different paints boxed together. So we're gonna see how that performs. We're gonna see how the 3000 Elite performs. One thing about the 3000 Elite is it runs all the time. It doesn't run, the motor runs all the time consistently. So I'm eventually probably gonna move it outside so you can actually hear me talk when doing the video. The great thing about these interfed rollers is you do not have to sit here and dip and roll, dip and roll. That's half the time of painting. That's why these things make you a lot of money. Now the Titan interfed roller, it takes no more than it takes to set up a regular airless sprayer. I set this thing up in probably less than 10 minutes, probably about 5 to 6 minutes. I got it set up. The rollers, I don't clean the roller head itself. I just throw those away, but the rest of it, it cleans up just as fast as a regular airless sprayer, about 10 minutes cleanup time. So this thing will make you money if you have, multiple walls to do, a lot of space to do. If I only got one room to do, I'm not going to use an interfed roller. I'm just going to hand roll it with a pan and roller, or a bucket and a roller. But if I got multiple rooms to do, I'm going to break this thing out. This thing will make you thousands of dollars. It has the Titan's LX75 inline gun on it. One thing great about the sprayers or the interfed roller of Titans, you can actually hook on a regular spray gun, like the RX Pro spray gun on there with their 90-degree swivel. So you can use it just with your gun, so you don't have to have a dedicated gun. I really like the inline gun. It just feels more natural rolling walls, but you just squeeze the trigger when you want paint in the roller and it releases paint in the roller. It's simply fast. So you got to check this out. We're going to get painting here. I'm going to show you some rolling stuff. I haven't done the cut-ins yet because I'm just testing out this interfed roller. So my steps, typically I would do my cut-ins and then roll my walls. So take that into account when you watch the video. So here we go. Let's put this thing to the test. So one of the really cool things about this interfed roller is I don't have to dip my roller in a pan of paint. I don't have to refill a pan of paint. I don't have to dip it in a pan of paint. All I got to do is just squeeze the trigger every now and then, and it's going to release paint. Now, if I do need to lay out a wall, this is just going to be a base coat for a metallic finish. But if I need to do my layout, now I'm just going to go back, lay it out without releasing paint right now. But this makes rolling walls significantly less tiring, less fatigue. You're not gonna just be exhausted, hot and sweaty. You can see some holes I didn't get patched, couldn't see them because the wall was dark and purple, but I'm just cruising right along, just releasing paint. I can actually put on more paint with this inter-fed roller than I can dipping and rolling too. And some people would say, or ask the question, does it come in an 18-inch or 14-inch? Well, since I don't have to dip my roller at all, whether it's 18-inch or 14-inch, if it's bigger, it really doesn't matter. So it only does come in a 9-inch. But you can see, even with a 9-inch, this is going to be significantly faster. Now, I did have somebody challenge me, years ago, saying they could paint faster, with an 18-inch roller and dipping in a bucket, and that was for about 10 minutes, and we were about the same. He was a tiny bit faster, but he was all sweaty and super tired from rolling. And you can see, I can sit here, talk, have a conversation, roll this wall completely effortless. So if I'm rolling all day long, I'm gonna not be nearly as tired. But doing this entire building, I'm literally going to be about 3 to 4 times faster on the large project painting. So it's just squeezing the trigger. You can just keep an eye on how much paint you're putting out. Want those walls nice, good, and saturated. So I'm not pulling the trigger when I'm getting down low, because I don't want a heavy paint, a lot of paint down here on the bottom. Otherwise I'll have a run. Same with at the top. I'm usually squeezing my trigger right in the middle 3/4. I'm releasing it before I get down to the bottom. As I start to go back up, I'm squeezing it again. And I'm squeezing just about every pass. So now I typically, some people are gonna probably question it, in the video here. When do you do your cut-ins, or how come you haven't done your cut-ins yet? So this is just the base coat for a metallic finish. And I'm going to put a second coat on this wall, and I'm going to do my cut-ins. And then after my cut-ins are done, then I'm going to roll my final coat. But this is, one of the big questions is, well, when are you going to use this thing? Anytime I got more than one room, if I got a 10 by 10 or 12 by 12 bedroom, one room, I'm going to either use a pan and roller or a bucket and roller, probably just one room, 9-inch, because it's less cleanup. You can see how fast this is. Using that 3000 Elite out there, and one of the tricks to that thing is put it on prime first, and then turn it on, and it will kick over and start up a lot easier. Sometimes it's hard for it to turn over and start up if you have it on spray. So just put on prime, turn it on, and it'll fire up really easily. This Green Sheen paint is covering, excellent. One of the things you need to know about these rollers is make sure you take and de-lint these rollers first. I think the perforation process, perforating this roller causes a lot of loose lints on this roller, because they must drill the holes or something, I'm not sure, but just de-lint it. I have a video on how to de-lint it with tape. So de-lint it or pre-clean it, spinning it. But if you don't, you're gonna have lints all over the wall. They're gonna dry on there, and then you're gonna have to sand them off. So So I got my roller outside, or not my roller, but my Titan 3000 Elite outside, just so I can talk and video at the same time, because it actually runs all the time. It never stops, like most sprayers will stop, but that whole starting the process, when you squeeze the trigger, it's not critical here, but if you're spraying some trim or something that has to have a high quality finish and a finish that is glass-like, automobile-like, the Titan 3000 Elite has zero dead banding. And if you don't know what dead banding is, when you pull the trigger, you're going to lose pressure, momentarily, and it's going to cause an hourglassing effect with your sprayer. So, in your spray pattern. So, by the pump always running or the motor always running, you're always going to have the same pressure coming out of the gun when you pull the trigger, and when you release the trigger, or right in the middle of spraying and holding down the trigger at all times. There's no dead banding at all. It's a really key feature with the Titan 3000 Elite. So I'm going to turn it on, start rolling again. So I'm just rolling a block wall with the interfed roller here. Once again, you can make this thing even more versatile by attaching more than one extension pole. So this is a 3-foot pole, and I can hook on as many as I can handle. I've actually put on 4 3-foot poles before, so I wouldn't even have to get on a ladder. The only reason I don't have a second pole hooked up right now is I was just testing this thing out. I was testing out the Titan 3000 Elite sprayer, and so I just hooked up one pole. Usually I have a dedicated sprayer for my interfed roller too. And the block wall right here, there's the interfed roller. They have 3/8" roller covers, and they got 1/2" roller covers, and a 1/2" definitely would be a better option for a block wall. But I've also got a smooth wall over here and an orange peel textured wall. So this is actually more versatile. I only got this one short wall here. That's concrete block, cinder block is what it is. Do notice, like I've said, that this Green Sheen paint, it dries really fast. It's got a satin sheen to it, so it's a pretty consistent with most of the exterior paints I use sheen-wise. That's a good question. So the smell of this product is really odd. I've smelled the smell before, and usually where I've smelled this smell is paints that have mildew. Now, that doesn't mean it has mildew in it. It's just I've smelled that smell before when I've seen mildew in paint. I believe Green Sheen told me when I was there watching this paint being made that they put a mildewcide in the paint, but I never saw that happen, so I can't verify that. So I would think you would have to put a mildewcide in there to kill any paint that came in that got boxed that had mildew in it. And maybe it wouldn't change the odor of the paint just by putting a mildewcide in it. I'm not a chemist or a paint manufacturing expert, so I'm not really sure on that one. But you can see I'm continuing to just roll right along here, talk, have a conversation, making painting just extremely effortless with this interfed roller. The roller covers, I typically don't clean them out. I usually just throw them away. I think there's somewhere, you would think I would know, because we actually sell, I absolutely love this product so much, we sell it in our store. Our website is idahopainter.com. That takes you directly to our store. But, you know, if you're in the business as a professional painter, there's no professional painter that should not have one of these tools if you do any type of interior painting. I think the initial investment's going to be around, you know, $375 or so, but that will literally pay for itself on the very first full interior you do, because you're going to be painting so much faster. You're going to be able to move on to the next job quicker, just make more money. And once again, you're going to be able to go home, have more energy at the end of the day to do the things that you want to do. I like to work out, ride race bikes, so I want to paint lazy. I want to make painting easy. I want it to be fast. I want it to be efficient. And I want it to make me money. And any tool that's going to do that is a tool that I'm going to put in my vehicle. So now that's, you know, one of my big questions about Green Sheen paint was, you know, is this paint, how are you going to get the same color, you know, if you run out, you know, halfway through the job? They do have it in batches, and it's got batch numbers on it and stuff. I know I've seen batches that were mixed, you know, 3 months apart, and they were so close I couldn't even tell from my naked eye. But and still, if you touched up something in the middle of a wall, is the sheen going to be the same? Because how do you guarantee the sheen is going to be the same and consistent also from batch to batch? But once again, this is a product. There's a time and a place for everything. And I think something like this, a commercial job, interior commercial job, where color's not critical, you got a lot of inconsistent substrates you're painting on where you won't see and touch-ups and stuff like that. There's going to be racking covering all that, probably 80% of the wall space, and it's a matter of just getting a basic wall color on here. Also, some of the walls, this is just a base coat for our metallic finish that we're going to be putting on. So it's ideal to use like a flat or matte when you're doing metallic coatings, but I'm going to test it out and see how it works on this job using it, a satin, because it is definitely like consistent with an exterior satin paint. So here's, you know, another great scenario. You know, now if you're painting something high, you know, you're gonna have to have an extension pole. You're gonna have to be loading your roller up in an extension pole, carrying it up to wherever you're going. I can just stand on this ladder and not go anywhere and just paint away. Some people are gonna ask, you know, what the green hose is too. I get that question all the time, and that's a whip hose. So a whip is a whip hose, typically a 3 to 5 foot hose. That's usually it's not a metal braided hose, and which makes it a lot softer, more flexible. The diameter is usually smaller, so it flexes and bends, and you're not having to fight your hose and stuff. And so once again, less fatigue at the end of the day by putting on a whip hose. This is a standard whip that I created, you know, specifically to my specs. I also have a pencil whip that's even smaller diameter and softer that I like in certain situations. Also, it's got a smaller inside diameter, so you can't spray heavier coatings with a pencil whip. But all the interior and exterior paints we use, not elastomeric coatings, we typically spray them right through our pencil whips. Here's a little handy little tip. So I was off to lunch, just used a brush baggie, Ziploc baggie by brush baggie, to cover my interfed roller so it won't dry out. You want to make sure you have that thing covered. I do got to say, I've used other manufacturers' rollers that do the same thing. One's called a pressure roller, and that one, this one takes and feeds out the paint consistently across the entire roller a lot better. The other one, it feeds it out towards the end of the roller pretty heavily, and the end of it where it's not attached, it wouldn't get very much paint to it. So I come to like the Titan interfed roller better because it has more consistent paint feed throughout the entire roller. You don't want to have your pressure up too high because it'll spit the paint out really hard. So you want it pretty low. Yeah, I got the pressure. I'm running, once again, about 800 PSI at the pump. So it's about 500 PSI at my gun here. And so you'll play around with it and eventually get the right feel for what you want. But all the ones I've used, different manufacturers, right around that 500 PSI, at your roller is what you're typically aiming for. That will give you the right amount of feed. If you get too much coming out too fast, it's gonna make a big mess. Once again, I had one of these rollers in my painting vehicle for literally, it was in a package, brand new. I had it in my paint vehicle for over 2 years, and I never used it because I thought it would take way too long to set up and clean up. And so I was literally going to do a video on reviewing it and why I wouldn't use it. And I set it up to do a garage, and I could not believe, making that video, how fast I set the thing up, cleaned it up, how fast I painted the garage. And I went out and got a couple of them and have been using them ever since. And they've made me a lot of money painting since that day. I literally just thought like how much money I lost by actually not using them, all those years. And that was kind of just an unfortunate thought to have to think that using them now on this heavy block, cinder block, you definitely got to squeeze the trigger a lot more, release a lot more paint, so your nap is really saturated, so it gets down, in the grout lines. I got this wall done here with this Green Sheen paint, and I'm actually absolutely amazed how well it has covered, and it's pretty dang close to, as close as I've ever seen to a one coat paint ever. It's absolutely incredible. There's some lints being released right here like this, lints from my roller. Just want to make sure you don't leave those on. They'll just wipe off with your glove or finger or something. So this wall, there's actually wood's going to be put up over this entire wall. So this is just color coat, base coat, just going over this entire wall, just in case the wood doesn't cover the entire thing. This gray is what's going to be on what would show. Whatever's showing after we install the wood. This is going to be actually a base coat. We'll probably do a metallic finish, you know, if it's whatever's going to show, some type of gray metallic, kind of like a concrete metallic gray. So again, you can, like this wall, if I would have just put one more extension on this, I'd be able to reach from top to bottom without getting on a ladder. And I have multiple extensions, just not at this job site, unfortunately. So this isn't a huge job where I'd run and go get it. Is even climbing up and down ladders is just added work, you know, that totals up, you know, for the entire day. It's just going to make you more tired at the end of the day. You can see I'm just laying it out. When I do my top layout, I kind of just drag it away from the wall and feather it away from the wall. That way I can get it to blend in. So to get it to blend in, I'm just dragging, pulling away. So I'm not going to have a start and stop or lap mark right there in the middle of that wall. Once again, you can use a regular gun, a regular spray gun instead of this inline gun. You can use a regular spray gun on here, detach it, spray with it, hook it back up and roll with it. So you can do two things with it. With a spray gun, you just need the 90-degree elbow adapter that tightens, sells that if you wanted to use, if you don't want to invest the money in a second spray gun, an inline gun like this. But once again, I like to just have a full dedicated sprayer and setup for my inline roller. So this setup now, I really like this Elite 3000 for this setup. So it'll probably become my inline roller setup now. You know, the roller, everything will just always be hooked up to it. So still running that 3000, you know, Elite out there to do these walls of sprayers, a very versatile sprayer. If you spraying a lot of trim work, it's a great sprayer because of the no dead banding, you know, feature to it. It's gonna spray, you know, flawless trim work. It's big enough to run big tips. So if you got heavy coatings, elastomeric coatings, block fillers, it's gonna run big tips like that. So great, versatile, all around pump. If you've got, you know, 2,500, 3,000 to invest in a sprayer, it's one of your best options to get. You know, that lifetime warranty just gives you, you know, a peace of mind that if anything goes wrong, you know, you're going to be covered for life. And also, you know that every couple of years, you're not going to have to spend several $100s, you know, repacking the sprayer. And after 3 years, buying a new piston, which is about half the cost of the sprayer itself. It also has a push ball, you know, feature on it. So if the ball gets stuck because it's sat for a long period of time or you didn't properly clean it, you just hit that push ball valve feature and it'll release that ball instead of having to bang it with a hammer, which a lot of painters get accustomed to doing, and it all does just mess up the lower end on your sprayers. Now I'm going to go back, do my cut-ins, and do my second coat on stuff. And it doesn't really matter, like on this job, if I do the second coat, you know, after cut-ins or before cut-ins, because all this is a base coat, but usually it really does matter if you don't want to get what we call picture framing or haloing on your walls. So we're back here, second day painting, doing some touch-ups, and I'm actually just rolling right in the middle of this field to test out color and sheen consistency of the paint. And I'm doing things a little bit backwards to also test the paint and does it halo and stuff. And what I've done is rolled 2 coats, and now I'm doing my cut-ins last, and I've done it on a wall on the opposite side, that way to see if this paint leaves a halo or color inconsistency or any type of flashing. And it's you can't even see where I cut in, even with this dark color after rolling 2 coats. That's not typically how we would paint it. We would roll 1 coat, cut in, and then roll our second coat. But once again, I'm just testing out this paint, this recycled paint. One thing I noticed when I first got in here in the morning is a super strong odor of what I believe is mildew, the smell of mildew. Now that doesn't mean there's mildew in the paint, or active mildew, but it's really, really strong. All right, there you have it. Our project is all complete now, all done. Well, it's not all complete, but the testing of our roller, Interfed roller, Titan 3000 Elite, and our Green Sheen paint is all done for the day. One thing I did touch on in the video was nap sizes. Wagner, Titan, they're the same company. 3/8 inch nap. I might have said in the video a 1/2 inch nap, but they come in 3/8 and 3/4, and the 3/4 is what you'd want for like the block wall or extremely porous surfaces. The Green Sheen paint, I did come in the next day, had a very strong odor of mildew, so I'm not sure what that's all about. It is recycled paint. You could have had boxed paints that had mildew in them before. I'm not sure if they put a mildewcide in it to kill the existing mildew, but you can put vanilla extract, or you can use a product called like Paint Sensations that adds this pleasant odor to paint. I'm not sure if it'll kill that mildew smell. Something you'll need to be consider, because I would never put this inside a customer's house, with that strong mildew odor smell, because that could concern the customer. Interfed roller was just great, for this situation. Titan 3000 Elite functioned very well. One thing, make sure you have it on prime when you turn it on. It's a simple little tip. It won't kick over and turn over unless you have it on prime. Some of these tools and accessories we're using, if you want more information about them, check the video description below. We always put the tools and accessories we're using in the videos down in the video description. And a lot of them, these game-changing tools like this Interfed roller, you can find at our store at idahopainter.com. That'll take you directly to our store. If you got any questions or comments, leave it in the comment section below. We'll try to get to your questions and comments as soon as we can. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. If you don't hit the notification bell, subscribing really doesn't do anything. And all it does is it allows you to get notified by email every time we come out with a new video. Hopefully we'll see you on our next video. Out.